Okay, this is Chris with Brothaspeak Podcast, where we talk about Black LGBT issues and topics. And I have several guests with me today, and we are discussing transgender. Everything you want to know about it, because I'll be honest with you, a lot of things I need to be educated on, so I want to make sure I bring in the experts. I have Miss Camille Meal, who is a transgender advocate. How are you doing, Camille?
I'm great. How are you?
All right, I'm doing perfect. And then we have also Miss Aisha Bailey, who is also a sex therapist also.
Hello, everyone.
All right. And also, some of you guys maybe remember the voice from previous podcasts, but we also have Mr. Kashai, from Care Resources and SunServe. How you doing?
I'm really happy to be here with you all. Thank you all.
Thank you guys so much, because I'll be honest with you, I've been trying to plan this for months to try to get somebody who can understand the transgender community and also educate as much as possible the community, because a lot of us, I'll be honest with you, we really don't know. Mm-hmm. I've come across a lot of people who've actually said, why are the transgender considered to be part of the LGBT community? Mm-hmm. What's the whole purpose of this, and why we gotta actually carry them on? And I get it a lot more negative than I do anything positive. Mm-hmm. So I want to be able to let the community know as much as possible, all types of questions, no holds barred, and to the community. So, Miss Camille.
Yes.
All right. So, how long have you been a transgender? Well, that's another question. How do you refer? What's the best way to refer to somebody who is transgender?
The best way to refer to someone that is transgender is it's not tricky. It's basically what you see. So if I come to you and you see a woman with a wig on, or you see a guy with a shirt, a button-up shirt and jeans on and tennis shoes, he may have a backpack, or he may have on a bomber jacket, whatever it is, you address them by what you see. Now, I can politely correct you if I don't fit the bill, but if I'm coming to you and I'm probably noticeable transgender, don't automatically say he. That can get you cut.
So, okay, because that is completely offensive.
Offensive when you take it upon yourself and say, hello, sir, or you say, sir, if you're serving me, or if you're in customer service and you're constantly saying sir, or you're constantly saying she, and that is not what's physically in front of you. Again, that will get you cut.
So, fair warning, that could get you cut.
That could get you cut.
Because there's been a lot of questions that was even kind of racing through my mind even as I'm getting here. I'm thinking to myself, I made the mistake of calling somebody a girl, hey girl.
But be mindful. Be mindful. Like, if it slips and you immediately correct yourself, for me, that's a pass, because this is new and we are now busting through the front door, like coming to the forefront. Right. This is new, but it's not too new where you can't quickly adapt.
Okay. So now it's kind of funny, because I did read, there was an article there transgender. That's been going back a much longer period, and particularly overseas in, I believe, England.
Yes.
To where that, I think, I don't know what, I'm trying to remember what particular article it was, but definitely it was automatically confronted in the early 1900s.
Yes, it was.
Even earlier
than that.
Do you know President George Washington wore heels?
Yes.
No, he did not.
Yes,
Are you serious?
Yes.
Heels were actually a man's fashion.
Yes.
Women wore flats.
You threw me off with that one.
Yes.
So,
heels were in the male fashion. Yes, it was.
So, okay, wow. Okay.
And also, if you go back into Indian history, in India, transgender people are featured in their text.
Two-spirited.
Also,
they're referred as two-spirited.
Two-spirited would be Native American. In India, it's third gender.
It's third gender.
And this includes transgender, whether it's male to female, female to male, or even intersex.
And they're worshipped, correct? For being third. And they're worshipped.
They are.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, all right. You threw me off with this one. Okay, they're considered to be a third gender.
Third gender. In India. Yes.
How far back did this go?
Hinduism is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, religion, and this goes back centuries.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even in our own American history, there was a woman who was actually a slave who used to service the men, even in our own American history. and she was prominent back in the 1800s, approximately 1836. And she was actually put on trial because she was discovered to have male genitalia. And one of her famous quotes is, "I've been servicing men since the beginning of time. I am a woman. It doesn't matter what I have between my legs." And this was back in the 1836, in the 1800s area, where slavery was still prominent. So when people say that this is a new thing, it's just new to the public, or they didn't want to acknowledge it. But trans people have been around since the beginning of time.
So wait a minute. Okay, the reason why it kind of throws me off is because the first thing they think about is the actual surgery process itself. So
they are totally wrong with surgery. I tell people, like, because when I facilitate small groups, I let them know, and I love to educate allies and the ignorant, if I can call them that, but you're ignorant in learning.
Yes, yes.
But I like to let them know it's not what you see, because believe it or not, it's a lot of transgenders out there that are walking among us there, but they're just too scared to live their truth.
That is true. I can see that.
Some of them actually go home and they take off their suit and tie and they walk around the house in a muumuu dress or in their favorite luxurious gown because they're in the confinements of their own home and they feel safe, but they're too scared because of all this bigotry and hatred that's going on outside. They're too scared to live their truth.
Yes. And for good reason.
For good reasons.
I can understand.
For good reasons. And I understand, but in this lifestyle, in the LGBTQ, LMNOP, all these other letters that add on, in this lifestyle, it's a lifestyle for the tough. It's not for the weak. Mm-hmm. It's for the tough.
It really is.
It's for the tough because before... When I first transitioned, I didn't have a car to protect myself, to try to find a close parking to park in front of wherever I was going so I can run in and run out. I had to walk my ass to the bus stop, walk my ass to the train, and then get there however I got there. So being I'm tall, I'm a very tall individual, I had to build that tough skin because I was going to get the looks like, what is it?
Right.
And you have the ignorant that say, ain't no woman that tall. But it is. But there are. You even have some that are bold enough to ask you, like, are you a man or a woman? Mm-hmm. And then you have those that are trying to play it off and say, oh my God, your makeup is so beautiful, to try to clock your voice or something like that. So you have to know how to maneuver.
Right.
And like my dad would say, shuck and jive through the BS. Yeah. You got to know how to shuck and jive through the BS to not get so offended, because you will get offended on a daily basis by the looks or by the questions. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, the LGBTQI and everything else in between, this is a lifestyle for the tough.
Okay. So the question that comes to my mind is, number one, when did you discover within yourself that something's not right?
I discovered something wasn't right a long time ago, and I'm 30 years old. So I discovered something wasn't right. Ooh, it's safe to say, I would say elementary. Yeah, I would say elementary, because I noticed, and I think all overly flamboyant gay men and even transgenders, they did some of the stuff that I did. For instance, I would always steal 10 paper clips from my teacher and put them on my fingers as nails.
Mm-hmm. That is kind of.
I would steal 10 paper clips and put them on my fingers as nails. Or what I would do, I would love to drink red juice because it would stain my lips and I had on lipstick.
Oh wow!
That's really creative.
God.
Seriously.
Wow.
Seriously.
She was a diva too.
I know.
I've always been soft, like not soft like as in a pushover, but I've always been soft. Did not want to get dirty, did not want to play sports. I was interested in other things. I was a young kid that enjoyed Golden Girls.
I think we all kind of enjoy Golden Girls.
I enjoyed Golden Girls as a child.
That don't count.
No, I mean like in this little aspect, like I knew all the characters and I knew everything. Yeah. I enjoyed being around my grandmother. That's who raised my grandmother. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed being around her. I enjoyed just being like, in my head, a girl. I knew for a while, but I started living my truth about, I would say, 5 years ago. I started like physically living my truth because I was deprived of my truth because I had a mainstream job.
Okay.
And my job was an influence on a certain population. I was servicing a low cognitive level population. So, everything is fine line, dot your I's and cross your T's. And over on that sector, they think that population is very easily influenced, but I learned a lot from them, and I really learned that they have a mind of its own. But moving forward, that for some time, that deprived me of living my truth. I was always in between. I never really got haircuts. If I got a haircut back then, it would always have some type of flaring design to it.
Right.
So I was always in between. So it was always a catch-22, like dealing with me.
Right.
So, but like 5 years ago, it was almost a new year. So I told myself, when the clock strikes 12, I am going to bag up all of my male clothes and I'm going to throw them in the garbage.
Wait, when did you decide this? When?
5 years ago. I just abruptly did. I was like, you know what? Because and to back up a little bit, I was just telling a friend, people always, the word try is a crutch word.
Okay.
So I always say, well, I'm going to try to do it this year. But I always find a reason to hold on to it. Okay. And if you look at the word T, the T is in the shape of a crutch. So I enabled myself, and I leaned on that word try for so long. So sometimes you just have to do it.
Right.
So this year I just chose to do it. So I packed up all my male clothes, and when the clock struck 12, I threw away all of my male clothes. But I almost relapsed. But something would not allow me to relapse because the neighbors had threw trash on top of my clothes.
Dividing to victory.
So I was screwed regardless, because this diva was not digging in the trash can. No. It was a wrap.
Not with the Kool-Aid stained lips.
I was not digging in. That was a no. I was not digging in the trash can. And then when I did a quick poll around my family. I said, well, how would you feel if I tell you I wanted to live my life full time as a girl? One of my brother was like, what? I thought you already did. So I was like, bitch, no.
Oh wow!
I asked a couple of friends. That was like, I was just waiting. It was about time, because I always had my nails done. I always had my toes done. I always had a hairdo, but it was the only thing that was holding me back. I wouldn't shave, or I would look in between, or I was always a drag queen doing shows. So it was always, I got a show, which I did do shows a lot.
Right.
So, but for me to wake up every day, present myself as, live my truth, I was always crippled by the word try.
Wow. I think actually words have power. You're absolutely right on that. For the word try, personally for myself, I had to kind of watch myself too when it comes to actually saying that. But in something like this, to actually go full-fledged with it, first off, when you talked about employment, tell me, how has that been for you?
This goes back to my roots as religion and as being a spiritual individual, as believing in God. I would like to say I am the exception. I'm not the rule, because if we go by the rule, everyone would turn me away from employment. So I'm the exception. I feel I'm blessed enough to have God direct me in the right direction and not put me in any door that would be shut in my face. So luckily, the doors that I did enter, I got the job.
Wow, nice.
Luckily.
Which is like she said, she's the exception and not the rule, because if you don't know, a lot of people who identify as trans, they struggle with finding adequate employment, finding adequate housing. They're discriminated against at the workplace, which makes it hard for them to stay at the workplace. They are disowned by their family members. And a lot of them may have to turn to other methods in just for survival. So
now, psychologically,
yeah.
I mean, what have you come across when you came across those who actually are making that process? I mean, is it something that, because this is what I'm thinking, I could be completely wrong. If you know within yourself that this is not right, this is not the body I'm supposed to be in, but yet you're kind of seeing society is constantly telling you something's wrong with you, this is something that completely goes against what God created, etc. All of those particular things.
Stop talking.
How? I mean, what is it?
Shut up. Stop talking to yourself.
I agree, but from my point of view, as a therapist, I would say, for me, I teach in, let's look at the word transgender first.
Okay.
Most people think it means male to female, female to male.
Right.
And it's just an umbrella term, trans,
Right.
to go above, go beyond, to transcend, to go across the binary of what gender is. A lot of people think gender is either 1 or 2, blue or pink, boy or girl. Everything in life is on a spectrum, from sexuality to gender. So I may be somewhere on the spectrum. I may not fit the binary, the quote-unquote male or female or masculine or feminine. So where does that leave me? So as human beings, we want to be a part of the group. The group is family. The group is friends.
Yes.
And when we're not a part of the group says, come, I'm going to love you. I'm going to accept you the way you are. But you have to be a part of that binary. If you're too short, you're too tall, you're too loud, you're too soft-spoken, you're too flamboyant, you're too masculine, you can't fit in our group anymore.
Right.
So for me, a lot of the people that I do therapy with, they're talking about, I've known all my life, 3 or 4. Or there are many say, well, in middle school, I thought I was gay, I thought I was bisexual, I didn't know. A lot of people don't know the difference between gender and sexuality.
Sexuality.
Two different
It's
things.
two different
Things.
things, and it get confused. Like LGBT, when you think about LGBT, sexual
sexuality.
attraction is who I see in my eyes. So if I look, and it may not be male or female, it may be I'm attracted to masculinity. Just so happen this female person is very masculine, and I'm attracted to that. Trans, on the other hand, is what's in my brain, how I identify in my head. It has nothing to do with the penis, has nothing to do with the vagina, because that is something that when we come out of the womb, the doctor says you have a boy based off of the genitals.
Right.
But what happens in the case of an intersex person? What happens
Right, exactly.
with ambiguous genitalia? All of that is under the umbrella term of what transgender mean.
Right.
So for me, and I may just be differently, and I'm hoping other people will open their eyes. It's not a disease. It's nothing wrong with them psychologically. What happens is that society is wrong about who they are.
Yes.
So they try to conform so much where they suffer from suicidal thoughts. They suffer from depression. They dip and dab in substance abuse, all because they cannot be who they are.
Right.
So a lot of times for me psychologically, and when we look at the DSM-5, we have some diagnoses in there such as gender dysphoria, which has certain criteria. We have also things about transvestic disorders that's in the or fetish. So all these different things. So when people get that, and they have this, there must be something wrong with me. And my first thing is I tell them there's nothing wrong with you. It's wrong the way that people view you and how they view you.
Yes. And just to add to that, because so much of my work is with the youth, they've really opened up my mind. I mean, I told you all before, I have a cousin who is my mother's age, transgender, transitioned in the 1970s, accepted by our family. It's never been an issue. But growing up, there was always just the notion that, like you said, transgender is just female, a male to female transition.
Right.
But there's also very much many male, female to male transitions. There's also people who like to cross-dress. They may not necessarily want to transition surgically or they just enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's also people who identify as non-binary, non-gender conforming,
or gender fluid,
or gender fluid.
Yes,
exactly. There are so many dimensions and complexities,
You
just like
look
sexuality.
lost.
No, but just like sexuality. Yeah, but here's the thing: the only parallel that gender identity and sexual identity have is the diversity and the complexity.
Yes.
Because between gay and straight, there is bisexual, and bisexual refers to being attracted to male and female, masculine, feminine. But there's also pansexual. Pansexual isn't just male, female, masculine, feminine. It can
carry over everything.
It can carry over everything.
Touch everything.
It's expansive. Pansexual is expansive. There's people who are mostly heterosexual, mostly homosexual. Same thing with transgender individuals. There are some who want to transition because they don't necessarily feel comfortable with the sex that they were assigned to at birth. There are some people who really enjoy the feeling of dressing up as another gender. For instance, drag queens. A lot of drag queens are not necessarily going to transition. They are whatever gender they are, and they enjoy, for entertainment purposes, dressing up. Because it's a show. It's entertainment. And a lot of people, that is confusing for a lot of people. But there are also transgender people who do drag. And it's fine, and it's great, and it's wonderful.
I'm one of them that's still entertained.
It's entertainment.
Entertainment.
A lot of them take
it's a check.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of them, remove their makeup and take off their wig. But for some people, a lot of times that's how they discover. Oh, okay,
I'm glad you say that, because I do want to tackle that for just a second. Okay, because some people may say, a lot of people may believe that that's the only place that you can get employment is if you're entertaining.
Not true.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
True.
I think this is my I statement. So if the viewers,
yes,
you chew me out, okay.
That's all right. No one chews each other out.
I think we allow the door to stay shut in our face. One door shut, we blame it on society, and we were like, oh, they don't want to hire me because of this and because of that and because of this. Honestly, for me, I got the jobs and my name or my gender wasn't even changed on my credentials.
Oh, wow.
Because I feel I was that forceful. I have the mindset, for me, I'm a force to be reckoned with. You're either going to give me the job or you're not going to give me the job.
Right.
But one way or another, you're going to read my resume and you're going to think about it.
Right.
So we allow the door to stay shut in our face instead of coming back. Coming back and reapplying again, or keep it going.
Right.
Apply.
Right.
Apply. Don't stop there. Apply.
Right.
One way or another, somebody's going to respect it.
That's true.
They don't have to like it.
Yes.
You don't have to love me, but you're going to respect me. And you're going to respect me enough to say you're hired. You're going to respect me enough to say Mr. or Miss, whatever pronoun I answer to. And we're going to respect each other enough. My check may say my birth name, but if I answer the phone, I'm going to say, hello, thank you for calling. Whatever, this is Camille speaking, and my name tag is going to say that.
Wow.
I think a lot of it as well, I mean, if you look at, like, with youth, and even a lot of the trans-identified people that I've worked with, from your corporate CEO to your police officer, when I'm in a place, in an environment, 8 to 12 hours a day, and I am deciding to do the biological transition, and let's be clear about that, or what transition is. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have to have any surgery or whatever.
Not at all.
It can be very just mental, just living, like Camille said, living my truth. That's a transition. So I'm on the job, I'm with this quote-unquote family, and they are making it very hard. I may suffer from dysphoria, meaning I'm looking at my body and something does not align. Or there are a lot of trans folks that do not suffer from dysphoria.
Right.
So when I know you've mentioned, a lot of we hear is something is wrong with my body. Let's be clear. Nothing is wrong with their body. A lot of people are very comfortable. They're comfortable with their chest. They're comfortable with their genitalia. It's just that I'm not able to live my truth.
Okay.
So, but when you're married, you've been married, and you had to, of course, be a part of that group, and you're expected to be a male or female, I have to look at, what am I losing? I may lose my wife. I may lose my home. I may lose my support system. I may gain a different support with a community, but I do have a lot of things that I may lose. I may lose my job. In Florida, being a no-fault state, because we're in the state of Florida, they can fire me for quote-unquote anything. True. and not say that it's because of that. A lot of people have been fortunate. A lot of people are not fortunate. But I think, like Camille said, don't give up.
Right.
Somebody is going to hire you. Somebody is going to see you and accept you for who you are. And I think that's the biggest thing for the community, is coming together and creating jobs for people to feel, so they can be whoever they want to be, which is my motto, and they can feel safe and comfortable and not feel like they have to live in disguise at work, because it's hard to perform on a job when you're not living your truth.
Now, when you say coming together, is the community really coming together? For
Well, which community?
Which community?
Yeah.
Okay, no.
There isn't. I mean, because that word is overused.
And loosely
and it's used loosely, because the thing is, we're all individuals at the end of the day, and we all have individual lives to live. And then I guess when we come together, the greater community, when we come together, it's very. I love the word complex. Don't like the word community too much, but I love the word complex. It is very complex, because there's just so many. Oh gosh, what is the word?
So many avenues.
There's so many different avenues, that people have to go through when just being themselves. Like if a transgender person was also a person of color, there's a lot of different obstacles and issues that come with it. It's like section. What is that word I'm trying to say?
Intersectionality.
Intersection. There you go.
Yeah.
There's so much of that you go into, and there are some people who are of color that are cisgender, and that is a person who identifies as the gender they were born with. There are many cisgender people who are gay but do not feel comfortable in the gay community. Likewise with transgender people. I know that there are a lot of transgender people who only feel comfortable with certain crowds, and may not even want to be part of the LGBT community. A lot of them want to blend or be
not
stealth.
Even that. The LGBT community has become heterophobic because they've been out there, they've been cast aside, they've been shunned away, the door has been shut in their face. So now the heterosexual is homophobic. So now the homosexuals are now heterophobic. So now they have created, because we're creatures of habit. You don't like me, I don't like you. You want to fight me, I want to fight you. When there's really no hostility or no malice between us, you just don't like the way I act. You don't like the fact that I'm a male and I carry a purse. You don't like the fact that this woman who feels as if she's a man, so right now she's stuck in the butch of the stud stage. So now she wants to go further. She wants to pursue, but she's stuck right there because I got the okay from the heterosexual community, so I'm gonna stay right here. And you're comfortable staying right here. But believe it or not, it's a lot of studs that will desire to go further. Think about it, cut their hair.
No, I never thought about that.
They actually have hair growing for their face and stuff like that.
I know there's a lot of tomboys out there, and I know that there's a lot of women.
Have we ever asked those tomboys, are they stuck?
Right.
I've never asked them.
And I think too, like when we talk about a community, we need to look at, again, a lot of people are uneducated about what it means to be LGBT and what it means to be trans. So if I'm uneducated about any topic, what am I supporting? So I think that's why it's very important, especially in the black community, especially with people of color. It's like a triple whammy. Not only am I black, I'm trans. Then I'm stereotyped by I'm like, and then I happen to be a woman.
Angle.
Right.
So then it's like from every angle, I'm getting it everywhere. But if it's like the LGB is fighting for one thing, transgender people are fighting for another, intersex people may be fighting another, people of color are fighting for another. So we're all fighting each other because we all want our basic human rights. So I think a lot of times when we talk about community, we need to be like, even like other therapists ask, well, why would you want to work with this type of population? And I always go back, why wouldn't I?
And you're doing your job.
They never can answer me, like, what would possess me? And I'm like, well, that's like asking, why would you want to work with kids? Or why would you want to work with adults? They're people.
Right.
Because think about it, we are kind of fighting for different things. Yet the other day... Yeah.
We're fighting for different things, but was the L not kicked out of their house? Mm-hmm. Was the G not kicked out of their house? Yes. Was the B not kicked out of their house? Yes. Was the T not kicked out of their house or cast aside? So we have so much in common, but for someone to say, why is the T involved in LGBT? You're a damn fool, because we all fighting the same fight of equality.
Yes. Right.
We're all fighting. So if nothing binds us together, equality and the fight for freedom should be the glue that mends us together, because we all serve the same fight. Yeah. We have L's and LGs and the B's and the T's. They've all been killed.
Yes.
Right.
So
yes, that's true.
The L's, the G's, and the B's and the T's, they've all been cast aside for employment. Right. Lesbians are homeless, unemployed. Gays are homeless and unemployed. Yes. Bisexuals are homeless and unemployed. Transgenders are homeless and unemployed. So if that cannot alone bind us together, we're not a community. We're not a rainbow, because it's not all rainbows for you to want to cast someone aside. We're not a rainbow, and that goes to show is so much hatred out there that's being put on us. We're actually bringing it inside.
It reflects because the other day, I said someone was frustrated because they are transitioning and they get misgendered at work.
Cuss their ass out.
Of course, that's what I said. Actually, that's actually what I said. But someone brought up that it's probably because you are presenting in one way as in a different way as your name would stereotypically be.
So why is the job not respecting them enough to at least put if they're victors, they call Vicky. Exactly. What do you want to be called? As long as your documents are in line for W-2 purposes, audit purposes, and whatever, it should not matter.
They should be addressed the way
as they look.
No, wait a minute. Now, the next question that comes to my mind is this: if you actually started off in that same job as one way, and people they have habits, and for them, it's also a process of watching it in real life in front of themselves.
Yeah.
So they don't know how to really address it. They don't know how to. It's like, they don't know whether or not to really. A lot of people really don't even know to continue conversation with the same person.
Right.
And that's where I blame the job. Everybody from a janitor to the president, they should undergo a competency training, because if everything we do, we're all in customer service, from the mail courier, the newspaper boy, to the hospital, everything in between. You are in customer service in some job, way, form, or another. We service someone,
right?
And we're going to encounter someone. So therefore, every job in America, and I stand firm on this, should undergo a competency training on how to address different individuals. Yes. Maybe certain religions want to be referred to as sister and brother.
Right.
If they say call me brother or something, call them that.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If you have someone that's in front of you and they want to be, I'll use my last name, Miss Lewis, damn it, you better call me Miss Lewis. If you don't, that will get you cut.
Yeah. I think the also problem, like going back to what you said, Chris, is like when they start off, let's say I'm at a job and I start off as female and I'm making the transition. In my mind as a therapist, I go back to a lot of people don't simply understand.
That's where the training
and they
come
are
in.
too scared to ask.
Yes.
They don't want to offend. Some may don't want to offend.
Right.
Some it goes against my beliefs. And then others, I don't even want to understand. So like Camille said, with the competency training, getting people who are competent enough, but also even with all the training, you have to have an open mind and be able to have your mind expand past of what societal norms are.
Right.
If you can go through a training all day long, if you walk out that training to go, I'm still stuck on what the binary is. I see male or female. I whatever derogatory term they may say, it's not enough. I think for me, it's like sometimes I see for myself people don't want to understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they afraid to? Are they afraid to research and find out? Everything is a learning process.
Right.
And I tell people, okay, you discriminate against me because I'm transgender. Where do you work? Oh, fast food. I'm sorry, I don't talk to people that work in fast food. You see how I just that quick? I just discriminate against you because that's how you make your money. That's how you work in fast food. I decide to live my life wearing pearls and wigs and getting my hair done. I enjoy that. So let's not play the back and forth game because I promise you I will win.
Right.
But it's so easy to be ignorant because
It really-
this is it's so easy, and it's so easy to stay in your comfort zone
Right.
and live in oblivion. Because this is something that's really come up a lot, and this word privilege has been
Right.
used so often.
Yes.
I never realized that I have a privilege. I
I-
thought as a person of color,
Yes.
I don't. I as a cisgender person, I was assigned male at birth. I identify as male. I do not want to be female. That is a
You
privilege.
don't know what you're missing.
I respect the
I'm
female
just teasing
gender.
with
No, I
you.
do respect the female gender, and I am a feminist.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a privilege,
Yes.
and we never realize it. We
Yes.
have never realized it. But someone who, in society's mind, goes against what nature gave them or what God gave them, they are walking in fire. Because people are so stuck on physically what's going on with them. And a lot of times, like with the DL men and with trade, they just bush it up and they can be as masculine. Sexuality isn't on their face.
Right.
You don't really tell it. With a lot of
That's
women.
a whole nother talk show.
That's another
With women, women are very, affectionate with each other, so people think nothing of it. And that's to do with sexuality. So with sexuality, a lot of times you can bush it up or femme it up.
And do
to
you know what
appeal
that comes from?
What?
That comes from our families.
It does.
Because our
And
moms
sexism.
and our dads told us men go with women, women go with men. There's nothing
Yes.
in between. For me, again, my statement, my personal opinion, I feel there's a small handful of families that say people are people. Love who you love. It's a
My
very
family too.
small handful of people that say men don't go with men. That's nasty. Or excuse me, them punks, them faggots, them this, them that, them dykes, them butches, and all that stuff that use derogative terms towards people who love who they love. For me, again, like I said, I feel that is a small portion, a small map of families, a small bowl full of families that teaches you love is love.
That's
Right.
true.
It really is true.
Love is
It is
love.
true.
We're so brain fucked on what our family taught us.
We're brainwashed.
We're brainwashed on what,
It's a
on what our
social
family taught us,
condition.
Yeah.
and now it has bled from them, just like prejudice. The whites taught their children to hate, and they taught their children to hate. Then they're taught who's gonna break this? Who's gonna
Very
break the cycle?
generational.
Who's
Very
gonna break the
generational.
cycle and be like, you know what? You're not my maid. You're my friend. Who's going to break the cycle and say, Mom, I love him. I've been dating her for so long, but she does nothing for me. But when I'm with him, I get butterflies. Like, Mom, I love him. But why are you dating her? Because my mom
Because
said.
of you.
Right.
Yeah, my mom
That's-
said, my parents said, or
Yes.
it's even go back to the economical purposes. Okay, if I come out as gay, I gotta pay for college by myself. If I come out as gay,
That's true. That's very true.
If I come out as gay, I don't have this car no more. If I come out as gay, this credit card is cut in half.
Well, that's one particular podcast we actually did discuss in terms of how black gay men are raised versus how white gay men are raised.
Yeah.
And usually black gay men, the response from parents, when we actually find that's one of the reasons why I believe they actually go to church, because they're preparing them for real life.
Yes.
Versus
pressure.
But versus white, that's actually, you get to go to a band camp. You get to go to all these other
and
creative
that's where
camps.
you find your band at that band camp.
And you know what I think it is? I think especially in the black community, a lot of families, I hear from a lot of families, is we already have a lot of struggles. To add on and to add on that you're gay, or to add on that you're trans too, it's like we already, and then you're going to add on, and I hear that from a lot. Now,
And that's what you got, because
I hear
usually
that.
that's the statistic that we pulled up. Basically, you are black, so therefore now you're black. You gay, and now you're black. Great. What else?
And you
is
know
now?
what? I would like to interject again. This is Camille Big Mouth speaking.
Yes,
so what?
speak
Sue
on
me. Black families are the most hypocritical families in the world.
Ooh.
And you want to know why I say that?
Tell me why.
Because it's okay for Miss Sissy Charles to do my hair, but if my son want to be gay, you want to kick me out. Why is a gay man doing your hair? Why are you endorsing a gay man? Why are you feeding into his business?
It's accessory, and
it's hypocritical. Because if you don't want to be dealt up with gay, don't be dealt up with gay at all.
Right.
Don't go to no gay establishment and get your hair done. Don't even sing up under the directions of a gay choir master. Don't do it. If you don't want nothing to do with gay, don't affiliate with gay, period, point blank. You better go to an all women's beauty salon that ain't nothing but women doing hair. You better go where sister so-and-so is married to brother so-and-so, and she is directing the choir. I think that is the most hypocritical, shit we can deal with as black families.
I think, and it goes back to what you said, association. It's all about, if I have a son or a daughter, when I give birth to this child, I've already made up in my mind who they're going to be. They're going to get married. They're going to have 2.5 kids, a dog named Speeder.
And that's what you get for pre-planning.
In a bank account.
That's what you get for pre-planning.
But we have that. We have that as parents. We have these expectations. So when our kids don't meet that expectation, then it goes back to, what did I do wrong as a parent?
They make it about them.
Where did I go wrong? I'm worried about my neighbor saying something about me, and it's never about that person. It's always about the projection that we put on our kids, our loved ones. What did I do? Where did I go? And I hear this all the time in therapy. Where did I go wrong? Aisha, where did this come from? And now they're telling me all the signs. Well, I remember the time I brought home a big pink Barbie car, and she hated it. And she painted it black and tried to put these big old wheels on it, and had a do-rag on, and then painted a mustache. But I don't know, where did I go wrong? Do you think I got too many hormones?
No.
Do you think? And I've heard everything from exposure to radiation.
I've heard
exposure to. I was exposed.
Wow.
To
I heard
radiation.
if you find yourself and you are of teen, or if you're younger, the parents say, "Who touched you?
Who touched you?" That's a big
one.
Who
touched you?
And that is related to. They say that whether it's your sexual orientation or gender identity, come out to them as
who touched you?
Somebody
molested you because I found myself.
Somebody molested you. Were they a victim of sexual? And let me tell you, I know a lot of therapists out there that works with kids, and they say they're gay men, and they're. But let me tell you, that's not what I see. I see people who come in there and no sexual trauma in their, or even very good families, very good homes. Like I said, the white picket fence with the dog named Skeeter.
That's what you get for pre-planning.
It's the, but again, it's ingrained in us,
yes,
right?
It is. Yes, it is.
It's very
pressure.
Ingrained. It's pressure. It's pressure from
pressure.
outside. It's pressure from families. It's pressure of I'm a parent, and again, it's ingrained in me, the binary. What does the binary do?
Exactly.
We get our homes. We're homeowners. We have good jobs. Our kids have to expect the American dream.
Because there's a lot of pressure on all of us.
Right.
Whether, no matter who we are, to kind of continue the cycle, continue tradition, don't break it. Right. And I think a lot of times... I broke it. Yeah, but that's the thing.
I think a lot of people are breaking it.
That's the thing. Yeah, we're all breaking it because there's only so much one can take.
Right.
Like, for me personally, I was told that I was too feminine as a child. And,
me too.
Yeah, and it was mostly black boys.
White boys, right.
So they were just putting on me a reflection of the environment they come from.
Well, yeah, I mean, growing up black, the first thing is, especially if you have a voice that's a little bit high.
Yeah.
You know, your uncle will punch you in the chest, put some bass in your voice.
Yes.
You'll get that.
Sexism.
You will get that.
That is sexism.
And don't get me wrong, I get it till this day. Are you sure you're gay? And I get it. I get it. And so
that's
I would question you too, Chris.
I got it today.
I would question you.
I got it today.
Yeah, but
because you know why they question you? Because you're not the typical quote unquote typical gay. You're not flamboyant. You don't have no twist in your walk. Your clothes not fitted tight, and that is what they feel is the typical gay. They're shocked when they see a masculine man just so happen loves the company of a man. You're flabbergasted. You think this is like, oh my God, Sci-Fi Channel.
Because they're conditioned to think that all same gender loving males are feminine, and because that is the stereotype, a lot of heterosexual people look down on us because femininity is allegedly just meant for women. Women are not supposed to be masculine.
Exactly.
Women are not supposed to be tomboys. Men are not supposed to be hugging each other. Men are not supposed to cry. There's so many things we're not supposed to do. So imagine when someone says that I am transgender and they decide to live in their truth, they're really shaking their whole belief system.
And it's very cultural too. I recently came back from Hong Kong, and I like to people watch. And while I was there, I saw men walking down the street, hug arm in arm with one another.
That. I'm about to go
not in a sexual way, but just this affection. Is my buddy. I'm showing affection to my buddy. I mean, even as a black, I got a lot of stares from a lot of the older elders there. But as far as anything else, I mean, you saw two women holding hands. You saw that. You saw it embracing, and nobody even batted an eye. And then I got back to the States. I was like, oh boy, I need to go back to Hong Kong. Like this it was really an eye opener to me to see how far we are. We are really behind the times. If you go to Thailand, they have ladyboys. Yeah. They've been in existence since forever. They use the male restroom. No one bats an eye. They're a part of their community. It's not saying that they don't face discrimination.
They do.
I just say in the Western culture, my family, Caribbean culture, it's a death sentence if you're gay, lesbian. Oh, God forbid you're trans. It's becoming a little bit more people are starting to come out. But if you watch a documentary they have about trans individuals in Jamaica, they actually live in squalor. They live in the gutters.
Live in the gully.
A lot of them live in the gully because it's not about whether, it's about safety. It means if someone found out who I am going to lose my life. It's that serious. So I think a lot of times it's this cultural pressure, whether it's religion. A lot of Bible thumpers out here. It goes.
I just want them to get up out of that. Oh no, you know what? I just want, and that is a heated subject.
Yes,
to me.
I mean that's another podcast.
I will briefly say I just want them to get up out of that Old Testament. You have them Old Testament believers that still thought it was okay to stone people and still thought it was okay for do all that other stuff. And let's step into the new. The New Testament is steadily every day walking us in the new age right now. Right. So why can't we as Bible thumpers walk in the new?
Yeah, I gotta ask this question. Being the fact that the walk that you have been walking in your life, have your beliefs have been changed in any way?
Beliefs in what?
Beliefs in religion. Believes in your customs?
No.
Really?
No. I still believe in that, man. Because you want to know why? I was raised up in a very religious household. My father was actually a pastor. I am a PK with my grandfather. I am a PGK. And it's a part in the Bible. It clearly states us when you, I'm paraphrasing, when you instill the word of God in a child or in someone, no matter where they stray, they can't depart from the word of God. So I've always kept that in me, that no matter what I do, I'm loved by God. Because a little bit about me, my biological father was addicted to drugs. Okay. And when I think back, my grandmother who raised me, who was so regal and so statue, I just bust out a smile when I think of her. She was so regal and so statue and tall, just like me. She never turned away from her son. No matter all the wrong that he did, she never turned away, and she always instilled in him that I love you and God loves you. So, and in her passing, my grandfather, he took the torch and he continued to raise me. He continued to condition me in the Bible and in the church, and he didn't force it down my throat. He allowed me to develop my own relationship with God, and I appreciate him for that. And I found for myself, no matter where I stray or no matter where I go, I still have the love of God. So for the people in the church to sit there and look at you with their nose up in the air, for people to judge you and tell you that you're going to hell, first of all, you've committed a sin. You are judging me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I want to be petty, ma'am, did you cut your hair into that bob? Do you not know that your hair is your virtue and you should not cut your hair? Are those pierced ears? Are you defaming God's temple? Is that a tattoo on your ankle?
Wow. Come on.
True.
Speak. True.
I just saw you at the fish market. You was eating crabs.
You was just eating shellfish. Yeah.
So I could be, again, I can be twice as petty and I would win. Only thing I'm doing, actually, thou shalt not lie. I'm living my truth.
Yes. We have to talk about that.
That's true.
Yeah.
We have to. And that
I'm living my truth.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think,
like I tell people, everyone is a book. Everyone is a book. God is writing in my book right now. He wrote this, that I will be doing this podcast and I'll be speaking to the nation. He wrote this. And he wrote everything in it. Some people say, oh, I don't believe that and this, that, and the other. That ain't nothing but the work of the devil. No, God wrote me. He created me in his image. I tell people, when God made me, he had a sense of humor. He was feeling funny that day. Like, I'm finna put a little bit of this, I'll put a little bit of that, put a little bit of this. This was not by fault. I was not an accident. My transgender brothers and sisters that's listening, and my LGBT community that's listening, you are not an accident.
Hello.
You were meant to be. Now, guess what? Find your meant to be and find your will.
Ooh.
Wow.
and you can still hold on to whatever religion or whatever spirituality you want. And I think a lot of times when we think about it, a lot of people say it goes against the beliefs of the family. And I always ask them, well, what do you believe?
Of the family.
Do you
of the Bible,
believe you're a
of the family.
mistake? Do you believe that you were just created to live a life of like, it doesn't even make sense, and it makes them wonder. But because they're so ingrained that if something doesn't align, you must be defective.
Right.
Yeah, like
you must be defective.
How many people are not living in their truth? Like, how many people are so frightened and they're so frustrated because they have to
put on a facade?
Exactly.
Every day.
It's one of the most oppressive things, and it's one of the most cruel things to not be able to really
exactly. That's why I said this is for the tough. This is for the tough.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, we only show about 10% of who we really are. We have a work personality. We have a family personality. We have a friend personality. We have a self personality. And sometimes we don't want these other personalities to meet each other. Right. And all the therapists out there, if you happen to be listening, not like, specifically like that, or not, just metaphorically. And we have these different personalities, and we only show 10% of who we are. Why? Because the rest is hidden. Because of fear of rejection, a fear that the group is not going to accept me anymore. Oh my gosh, if they found out what I did, if they found out what I was into, my family, I will lose everything. So a lot of times, again, when people don't live their truth, it could be, I am having multiple affairs. That's not living, and my wife or my husband does not know. I have an extra kid or two on the side. I'm a shoplifter. I'm into kink. And that's a whole nother podcast.
We'll touch on that.
It's all these things. And when you go back to living your truth, it's for me, from a point of view where I see people here in my office, it's very hard because it means you have to give up something. And you may have to give up the version of what people expect you to be.
Now, it's kind of funny you say that because
consider it gave up.
well, here's the thing now. I mean, it's I think it's easy for someone who's been living in that that thick skin for so long time. It is, but
you got to get your support system.
But it's kind of funny because if I am in, say, Timbuktu, Alabama, not a major population, not a populated city, not like Miami, not like Fort Lauderdale, not like LA, not like New York. You are in a very rural area with limited resources. And you're going through the same exact trials as a Camille. Now, thank you very much. Now, when it comes down to, one, the community, you have to deal with it because now the resources are limited.
Very much.
But now, finding love.
Yes.
Finding love.
Yeah.
How is that?
But you know what? It's difficult. It's difficult because I see a lot of people. I see a lot of people from different states when I'm doing just like consultations for HRT, and especially in rural areas where the doctor owns the bank. And is also the first lady of the church. It's very, very small. Or even internationally, where I'm a citizen or I live in Egypt, and they just don't accept it whatsoever. And I may need to seek asylum in the U.S. A lot of people do. So it's like, it's very hard. I wish everybody could be the Camille Lewis, and build up that barrier where no matter what happens, I'm going to live my truth.
Right.
And so people tend to back away from Camille because she's, no matter what, she's going to live her truth.
And that's why I say, haul ass.
Yeah, but it's very hard when you don't have any money.
Yeah.
You live in a rural area. You may not have skills. You may not have the educational backing. You don't know. You're even scared to even be who you are because you're just so conflicted with it. I don't even know. And that's the people I see. I see those people where I'm in this area and my other coping skills that I use, it's not working for me. And I'm in crisis. Aisha, what do I do?
Right.
So it's that tapping into outside resources where people can come and kind of come in. Like they're even seeking therapists are minimal up there. So they seek outside resources for therapy.
That's true.
Financial assistance. Some of them may not even know how to read or write. Many of them have never even wrote a resume. There are others who, my whole life is here. My family owns a farm here.
Right.
I don't even know how to do anything else. What do you mean use a computer?
Yeah.
So realistically, a lot of times there are a lot of barriers and factors that kind of affect that.
Yes. And they always say, I want to try and move away. Again, you're leaning on that T, which is in the form of a crutch. Sometimes, and this is where it kicks back into my spiritual belief, I moved away from Tampa 10 years ago. I moved away abruptly. My family did not know where I was for a full entire year. My mother was when I popped up, she was like, I'm glad you popped up because in another month or so, I was about to put an all points bulletin out on you. In my move, I began to find myself. And oftentimes, we're in that box of our city, of our state, and we're reminded of what our family have imposed on us. So that's why I say haul ass, because if you're in a new box, there's new corners in that box. You can find yourself because everything in you around you is now an open canvas. Paint it whatever you want it to be.
Beautiful.
I would advise anyone out there that that have the resources or don't have the resources, like I say, I steps back into my spiritual. You have to step out on faith and stop trying and just do it. You will be amazed what's beyond that's waiting on you, what's out there for you.
Hence the word trans, beyond.
You'll be amazed. And oftentimes, please keep in mind, my sisters and brothers, bloodline does not make you family.
Yes.
Bloodline does not make you family. One more time. Bloodline does not make you family. You will find that your friends or your adopted lifestyle mother would help you get on HRT, would guide you, and will let you be you faster than your family. It's sad but true. Do I want it? Yes. Do I need to find myself? Yes. Or am I going to sit and lay in misery?
They have to get to the point where they can live their truth, because a lot of people are not ready for that. And I think individually for people, it's if you can find the courage to start living in your truth and not focus on what you're going to be losing, but what you're going to be gaining, it can be amazing.
And this concludes part 1 of our conversation with transgender. This is a Brothaspeak Podcast where we talk about Black LGBT issues and topics. And stay tuned for part 2 coming up real soon. I am your host, Chris. Have a great night.